Hello and welcome to this week's episode for the podcast. You got mail from me, Bella, and if you are a new listener, welcome to the podcast. I feel like the podcast is like a secret group of us who actually know every single thing that is going on in my life. And I feel like I know things that are going on with your life as well from the questions. And so welcome if you are new. If you're a returning listener, I'm so glad you're back. And of course you're back because this week's episode was highly requested on the Substack group chat because Instagram won't let me have a group chat, which is a whole other issue. Some people are just allowed one and some people aren't allowed one. And I, for some reason, form into the latter category, which is really a sad situation to be in because I would love nothing more than to spam you all with my daily thoughts. But maybe it's for the best. Today is Friday. I've got my coffee with me in this really cute mug. Can you see? It's from my nana and it makes me think of my nana every single time I use it because also, weird full circle moment. This painting is my best friend's favourite painting, which kind of turned into one of my favourite paintings because I love the artist. And then my nana got her a cup. So not only does this cup remind me of my nana, it also reminds me of my best friend. So a good 2-in-1. And it was one of those things that for ages I didn't use. I just kept in the box. I actually don't need to lean back this time. I don't know why I do this. For ages, it was one of those presents that I just kept in the box because I was too scared to use it. And I've actually decided I should just use it and get joy from using it as a cup because it's really cute and it reminds me of home and being with my family. And so we're starting to light the candles that we've always saved, okay? We are not saving for the specialist day. The specialist day can be today too. So that's the first lesson. Before we get onto the topic of this week's podcast, I'm going to give you a sneak preview of what it's going to be about. We're going to chat about manifestation, about alignment, about how to manifest what you really, really want to. Because I'm going to be honest, I've been a bit stuck maybe for the past month, maybe for the past 2 months, because I got a bit hyper-fixated on controlling the outcome of every situation, which this last week's episode spoke a lot about comparison and how we can't control the timeline that things happen on. But I think there was an element missing. Well, like we've spoken about finding your spark, okay? And how you can like uncover that part of you again. And let's say you've found your spark. You're now getting confidence, self-confidence wise. You're not comparing yourself to everyone around you. But then there's still this element of like, we're both really ambitious, okay? And we want to do these big things in our lives, which means we're going to need to manifest them a little bit because if we don't manifest them, it's not going to happen because it's all connected. And that feels like the next section. So you found your spark again. You've stopped comparing yourself and so you're content in what you're doing, but now you really want to do the bigger things. And so that's why this week's podcast episode is going to focus all about manifestation and working out who we want to be and how we can be that person. Because it's something that I haven't been the best at doing, I'll be honest. But before we get onto the topic of this week's podcast, we're going to first discuss the life update because this week it's been a good week. I've just felt ill and I've really felt, the clocks went back on Sunday and I've really felt it. I have felt a bit miserable this week. I've been so grumpy. I've just not been that fun to be around. I don't think many other people have noticed because it's been a lot of internal grumpiness. But you know when it's just like, you're just not vibing. You're just not vibing with everything that's going on. And I think the nights are so dark. I think I've just been watching TV, which, okay, sometimes that's just what you need to do in life, all right? I've been busy because I wake up early to go to the gym. I'm exhausted by the time it gets to 9 p.m. And then, you know, there's just been a lot of different things going on. And this week I've just felt a little bit flat, but it's okay. We're going to have a podcast episode maybe next week about combating. Okay, it's not Sunday scaries, it's like winter scaries, because I don't want to go into this autumn slump that sometimes I go into because it's just a bit miserable outside, especially in Manchester where it's literally consistently grey. I feel like I just need a bit of sunshine, and so that's not something we're going to have because I don't have a holiday booked for the foreseeable, so we need to find the little pockets of joy, and I have been leaning into more of a cozy vibe. I've been putting, you know, The Fireplace on Netflix. I've been putting that on a lot and reading, and that's been really cute, and I've enjoyed doing that, and it feels nice to be cozy and like focus in on like leaning into that slower pace of life. But it doesn't change the fact that I have felt a bit grumpy and that's okay. Like, I'm not going to try and change it. Well, I know that's bad. I am going to try and shake it off, and it has been being shaked off, and I think I'm getting better, and I think it's passing by. I've just felt a little bit flat. It's also to do with your cycle, isn't it? I think I've been on my period as well, which hasn't helped. But it's just one of those days, one of those weeks, and it's fine. It's not the end of the world. I used to kind of think these weeks were the end of the world and it would never ever pass, but actually it's kind of a normal part of being human. You don't realise, you know, you've been working harder, you're tired, life is changing, everything kind of we're going into winter, there's a lot of different things going on, and so it's normal when we have these moments where we're a bit like, you know what, I feel a bit But I'm going to try and shake it off this weekend. I've got some really fun plans tonight. Actually, I don't have any fun plans tonight, but tomorrow we're going out for Halloween, which will be really good. I'm going to a day party. I haven't been to a day party since, I was going to say years, since Croatia when I went to the festival, but that doesn't count. So we're going to a day party, and then what's the next thing that we're doing? I'm going to move you forward. And then after the day party, on the Sunday, I'm just chilling. I am just chilling, and I think that sounds perfect. I've been watching How I Met Your Mother. I'm in season 5 now, and I honestly don't know what I'm going to do when it passes. I feel a bit sad and a bit scared that it's going to end, and this comfort crutch of a TV show that I've had is going to be over. And I don't know what I'm going to watch afterwards. I have no idea. Maybe Gilmore Girls again. I'd never watched it before, and so a fly just landed. Other things that I've been doing, reading again, and I've moved my journaling to be in the morning because I was finding that before bed I was just skipping it because I was tired and I wanted to go to sleep, and it wasn't like, I wasn't finding it a relaxing thing, I was finding it a chore. So I've started doing it in the morning, and honestly it's been way better. The more I start doing more things in the mornings, the more I realise that like this is the best way. Do the morning for the chores and the habits that you have to do, and the evenings for the things that you want to do, because then there's no pressure. Whereas in the morning, I feel like I just get things done, which is way, way, way better. And so this would be my biggest tip. If there's something you're wanting to start to do more of, just start doing it in the morning. Working out in the morning is actually my favourite thing ever. I think, no, not ever. That would be like, no, it's not ever. But I have really enjoyed having that kind of evenings free, and it means that I see more of the sunshine because I wake up and I walk to work and it's light, which is nice because when I leave work, it's pitch black. Yeah, they're at that point, and I work in an office, and so, I just don't see sunlight now for the next 5 months. It's okay, I'm not going to deep it. It's just the winter realisation, because I feel like we went from, like, cute, lovely autumn, long nights, it was still fine, to autumn. Grey, miserable autumn, and I don't want that. And so, yes, next week we'll discuss ways to prevent this winter sadness that I can kind of feel coming. But before we get to that podcast episode, let's discuss this one, because we have a lot to chat about. So on to the content part of this week's podcast. But before we do, if you know someone who wants to manifest their dream life, send this to them now, because I'm going to tell you everything that I have learned and done that have helped me along the way, because I feel like I have some big tips and tricks to help you all, because I have failed a lot at this and I've had to learn the hard way, and I don't want that for you. So on to the content part of this week's podcast episode. And as I said, this week we're discussing manifestation. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I've always been a bit obsessed with manifesting. I won't lie. Like, I've always been I think when I was 20 and I first found out about it, I was like, this is something I've never done before, but kind of have always subtly done. And now I'm wondering how I can use this in my life. And if you're not aware what manifestation is, it's this, like, it's the whole concept that what you think becomes your truth. And manifesting something is believing it into existence because of the law of attraction, that when you energetically align with something, because everything in life is energy, so when you align with something, when you believe something to be true so totally and utterly that you accept it as your own and your like future, then it comes to you. And I think it kind of, for me, links this idea that you can't want anything that's not meant for you, because the reason you want it is because you've already had it before in a different lifetime. And I know this sounds, okay, I get how this sounds, but you've got to imagine, I've been doing a lot of work on quantum because I'm interested in it and I don't know that much about it. So I've been reading quite a bit about it. And it's this idea that things can be multiple states at once. And I kind of think all of us are passing through time in this like multiple, like when we're achieving what we're achieved, there's been the younger version of us, there's us, and there's this older version of us who's already achieved what we're going for. Just like me now, I am that future version of me that younger me wanted to achieve. You are constantly, and I'm also the beginning version of me that wants to achieve something, and I'm also the person who is currently trying to achieve something. I have all of those 3 character types within me, because they're all elements of my journey that I'm constantly being, because you're always your future self compared to your past self. You're always your past self compared to your future self. And you are always your present self compared to your present self, I guess. Like, you're always on this journey. And so that's been the biggest thing of me realizing that, like, these things that I want to do and these places that I want to get, they're already there. They're already what I want to achieve. They're already what I want to manifest. They're already in my future because that's why I want them. But for ages, I just thought if I said it enough, if I said my biggest goals, I don't know whether to share them. It feels bold. I'm going to share them Biggest goals, I want to have a best-selling book. I want to have a #1 podcast. I want to be on my own billboard. I want to hit 500,000 followers on TikTok and Instagram. And I want to hit, there's another one. I think these are a good 5. This is the vibe we're going for. And I just thought if I wrote out my goals every single day, which is what I was doing in the morning, I would have a list and I would just write them out. And I think this works at the start when you're trying to manifest something, because you're trying to work out what you want your goals to be. You're trying to understand who this version who has these, like, what are the things that is important to you. And that's what you first have to get clear on. And I think when you're trying to manifest this dream life that you want, you have to get clear on what you want. And not just what you want, but what you think the lifestyle and the life that the person who has those things would be, because that's what you're going to manifest. You're going to manifest the version of you that's achieved these things, because if you just imagine achieving those things, it's not going to work. And this is the thing that I didn't get, okay? The reason why it's not going to work is because you're going to focus and hyperfixate too much on controlling the situation, okay? And it's going to be too controlled, and you're going to try and hold on to it. And then you're going to be holding on too tight that it's not going to work out how you wanted it to work out, but it's still going to work out. Okay? The way things and you manifest, it's not like, I want to win the lottery. You won the lottery. You might say, I want to manifest being able to afford this. And then you manage to somehow get the money in a weird way that you wouldn't have ever thought before. Like, I manifested. I remember I was like, I remember there was a money thing where I wrote down, I was like, I'm going to get £500, blah, 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 blah. Didn't think about it for like 6 months. And then weirdly, I got gifted it for a birthday when that had never, ever happened before, because it was like a special birthday and they decided that was something they wanted to gift me. And I was like, I didn't think it was going to come through this way, but that is crazy. It was the exact, like, everything was not exactly how I thought it would have happened, but the outcome was the same. And I think this is why you can't get too attached to the outcome of things. And this is why you can't get too energetically attached to the actual thing itself. You have to think more of like the outcome and the version of you that would achieve this and how it would make you feel. Because then if the goal could come about your life in a different way, it will. I don't know if this is making any sense, but I really hope it does, because it's like you want these things because of the lifestyle and the things it will add to your life. And so if you imagine that version of your life and that's what you're manifesting, then these goals that you have might manifest in different ways. You know, when I'm thinking that, like, one of my biggest goals, you know, let's say I wanted to write a book. Rather than hyperfixating on the actual book itself, I would focus and think about how I'd feel having a book deal, how I'd feel seeing my book on the shelf, how I'd imagine reading my book, how I'd imagine giving the book to other people, and I'd focus on the feeling of that rather than the item itself, because it's the feeling that's the really important thing. The feeling is the thing that underpins all of these. The emotion of how you feel in something, that's what you have to align, because I feel like that is like the energy. Your emotions are the energy that you're putting out into the universe. And so if you are emotionally aligned, then it'll work. Because for ages I was writing out my goals, and I'm not going to lie, I was bored. I was really bored. I was like, I'm just not even invested in it anymore. And so I've changed it up. My whole manifestation process used to be write out your goals, do a bit of journaling, sometimes think about them. That was it. I've changed everything. And I feel like it's making more sense and makes me feel happier. And I think the most important thing about all of these ways that we try and manifest our goals in life is that they make us feel good about the life that we're creating, because like that's what matters more. There's no, like the secret ingredient, I feel like everything that I've tried to manifest has been the feeling. Making sure I feel a certain way about something, making sure I feel excited, making sure I feel ready to create something and excited about the outcome of my goals that it could be, making sure that is the thing that I focus on. That's the thing that's really exciting to me. And so making sure that my energy aligns with that by making sure I have the emotions that would align with that, that's what's really important. So the different thing that I've been doing is each morning, I'll be honest, I put it into ChatGPT. I asked it what I should do, and it gave me a whole little new mantra. And it starts by, as soon as I wake up, I take 3 deep breaths. And I focus on letting go of the specific outcome I think should happen, because I like to control things, I have these goals that I want to achieve, and I like to think that I know exactly how they're going to happen. And in me wanting to do that, I'm like, it's almost like the universe is like, I can do that for you, but just not in that way, okay? It's like you're painting a picture, okay? And you are determined that the picture has to be purple. It has to be purple, okay? If it's purple, if it's not purple, it's broken. And the universe is like, okay, well, I can paint a picture, but I don't have purple. I only have every other colour in the rainbow, but I've run out of purple. I can't give you purple right now. And if you accept that your goal in life could happen in a different way, okay, it will come, like, I can make you a painting, but it's not going to be in purple, but it's still going to be great. And it's still going to be a painting that you enjoy, and it's going to bring you like happiness and make you feel great. And it's going to be the outcome that you want. It's just going to look different. If you can accept that, I can give you the painting straight away. But if you keep being like, it's only a purple painting, the purple painting, the purple painting, it has to be purple, it has to be purple, you're going to be waiting forever because it's run out of purple, okay? But instead, if you were just like, a painting, I wonder how this could happen. I'm not going to fixate too much on the specifics because I know it'll happen when the universe is ready for it to happen. I know things will align. I know things will work out how they're meant to work out. I know I can't want something that isn't meant for me because I've achieved it in a different timeline. I know these things are linked together. I know this is going to be okay, and I kind of release that need to control everything about a scenario. If you do that, if you start to really, really think a lot about releasing that control, it allows chance to happen. And I think chance is such an important thing. We have to roll the dice. You know, you have to give the universe, and you have to trust that you're able to create a life that you really love, but you have to be able to trust that, like, there are so many like amazing things out there that you don't know about. And if you only limit your manifestations and your ideal of your dream life to what you want it to be, you know, there's so much that you don't know that you're closing yourself off from, that you might think you know the best thing for you, but the truth is like you haven't been exposed to the best thing for you. But the universe knows what the best thing for you would be. It knows what your path is. It knows what you want. It knows why you want that. It knows kind of the things and the lessons you have to learn before you get that. It understands how to create something for you that will bring you as much joy, if not more joy, than what you currently imagine you want. But it just might be a bit different to how you imagine it should look. And this is the thing you have to realize. You have to release a bit of that control about how things would be. Because I have hyperfixated so much on my goals, thinking like, this is exactly how it has to look. This is exactly, actually a weird one. I, for ages, remember I was like, I just want a flat with big windows and lots of natural light, and I will walk down these stairs and I'll see the light. And I was like very fixated on this very specific vision. And that didn't come about. I don't have that flat. I can't imagine that flat. But my current flat does have loads of windows, does have lots of natural light, is everything that I wanted. It's just not the exact vision in our head. And I think vision boards and everything can make us think that like there will be synchronicities, okay? There will be weird things where you do just manage to manifest exactly what's there. But I think it's better if we start focusing on the feeling of what these manifestations will bring us, because that's what's going to make it happen more. Because it's so much more important how you feel about something and embodying the person. It's like when you fall asleep, and I've seen this analogy a lot. When you fall asleep, you have to pretend to fall asleep first. You have to trick your brain into thinking it is asleep, and then it will be asleep. And the exact same is with manifestation. You have to believe you are something. You have to believe you are an influencer, or, you know, you're the top person in your job, or you have to believe you're a writer or an author. You have to believe you're a painter. You have to embody that person entirely. And part of that embodiment is imagining how it would feel when you achieve the things you want to achieve, and then feeling that feeling. And it feels a bit silly, okay? You're sat in your room and I'm listening to a song and I'm like pretending that I've achieved these goals, and I'm pretending that I've like opened up a book and it says my name on it, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm giving it to someone. I'm pretending all of these things, okay? Yeah, I know it sounds a bit, okay, I get it. But so much of these manifestation goals, it's all just about embodying that version of yourself and closing the gap between you and that future you. And I think it's like the future that you want has already happened. You're just catching up to it. And so doing all of these things, visualizing how you would get there, familiarizes yourself with that version of yourself, familiarizes yourself with how they would feel, what would make them feel good, what would make them, like, how do they have their morning routine, and then brings it almost into your own, because they start to merge. They start to blur a little bit. There's current you and there's future you that achieved everything, but you've been acting like that future you. And so what's really the difference? The difference is that the goal hasn't happened yet, and then the goal starts to happen because you're energetically aligned with the version of you that could achieve this. So basically what I'm saying is writing everything out and wishful thinking isn't going to do it. Firstly, you have to have aligned action. You have to first write the book, for example. You have to put yourself out there. You can't just wish and wish and wish and wish. You have to put yourself out there. But secondly, the biggest, most important thing, I think, is making sure your energy and who you are match with the things you want to create, because you have these big goals and these big things you want in life, and it's great, but you have to make sure that you are, in the right position to attract them, and being in the right position. So much of that is about properly sitting with what you want and closing that gap between you and future you. Because remember, you're always those three different versions of yourself. You're always the future you that achieved the things that past you wanted. But you can also start to embody some of the characteristics of future you that where you want to get to. And part of embodying those characteristics and that attitude and those opinions and those thoughts is about visualizing what it would be. And so I really think you should start visualizing your goals, how it feels when you achieve the goals. Focus on the feeling. Don't focus too much on the specifics of how you'll get there. Because if you focus too much on the specifics, you might wait for the painting for a while because they might have run out of purple, but it doesn't mean that you wouldn't get a painting if you focus on a different colour. Now that's why you just have to let loose a little bit, if that makes sense. But if you want to know more about this topic, I also have a blog post out about it, and it's out today. And so I'm excited to see what you think. And if you have manifested anything really cool, please drop it in the comments, because these stories always reaffirm that manifestation is great and that we can do so much with it. And I think it's just really exciting to discuss. But anyway, on to the question part of this week's podcast. And if you're unaware, on Instagram, I post a little question box every either Thursday or Friday, and that's where you can send in your questions and I'll answer them on the podcast. And it's such a fun way to get to know you guys and for you to get involved in the podcast, which I want you to always be involved in the podcast because I feel like this is our own little private chat and it's so fun. But anyway, on to the question part, and make sure before we do that you've sent this podcast to one person you think might enjoy it. And if you haven't already given me a review, then please do, because I've just checked and I've gained 100 reviews since asking you guys to review the podcast. And so if you want to do me a big favour, please review it. Give me 5 stars, please. Please. Okay, I love you. See you in a sec. Okay, first question is, what made you start the podcast? I love it and find the episodes really useful. Thanks. The reason I started the podcast was because I think I'm the oldest and I never really felt like I had someone to ask questions to. And I never really felt like I had someone to chat to everything about. And so I miss that kind of how some people have older siblings or they have older friends. I didn't have that. And so I was just the first one going through everything. And I really missed that relationship. And I just thought I can't be the only one. I can't be the only one. And if I can be that for someone else, then that would make me feel happy. And so that was kind of the big reason and then also I just really enjoyed it. I really liked chatting and having this as a space for just I think I started treating it like therapy. I really like just having it as a space to work through everything that I was feeling in that week and having it as a space to create connections with other people. And I also just really enjoyed it. And so I think it was a combined thing of created it because I saw that I missed having that person to talk to. And so other people probably missed it too. And if I could be that person for other people, then that would be really fulfilling. I also just love creating podcasts. And then finally, I found it a really good way. I think having ADHD and just there's a lot of things going on, found it really great having this hour where I just spoke and that was it. And I found it really made me calm and feel good. And so I think that's probably why I've stuck at it for so long. How to enjoy mundanity. Working in hospitality, saving for solo travel, but unhappy day to day. I feel this. I feel this a lot. I think a lot of us, especially as we go into winter, are struggling with this because the little fun activities that we do in our day to day are kind of harder to do. The nights are a lot darker. There's not so much time to do activities. Everyone starts to want to shut up doors and just be cozy. And I think one book that I would recommend reading is Wintering. It's actually reminded me that I might read it again. And it's all about how important having a period of it being quieter is and how important it is to have different seasons in our life. And it's really beautifully written and it's not huge. And so I'd really recommend reading that. And I think it'll help turn this period, it'll make you see opportunity in winter for allowing yourself to rest and recuperate. And I think that's how you can make this period of your life, you can be more purposeful with it, because you have to realize you're just going to be a different level of purposeful. In summer, we might have gone for picnics or walks after work, or we might have gone to a pub quiz, or we might have done all of these things you might have done. you can still do things. It just might look a little bit different now. You might decide you're going to start this new film series, or you're going to start a new book series, or you're going to spend more cozy time at home, or you wake up earlier and you go for a more walk in the morning to make use of that morning sunshine. Like, there's many different ways that you can add pockets of activity into your life. And I think that's when I'm feeling really bored. That's when I realise that I've got a bit too structured with my routine, that I need to shake it up a little bit. And so that's what's really helped me. And then, do you have anything that helps you when you're going through a hard time? I think, first off, the attitude that it's okay to have a hard time, that it's not going to be like this forever, that, you know, life will change and it will get better and this isn't going to be me forever. And it's okay that I'm feeling like this, but this too will pass. Putting it in perspective is the first thing that really helps me. Secondly, is talking to the people around me, reaching out, getting therapy if I'm having a really hard time, which I know not everyone has the option to do, but I've had it twice now, and I think it's been really, really helpful in making me process my emotions and allow myself to kind of not detach from a hard time, but kind of detach from a hard time. I think a hard time, getting through it, is as much about, like, it's a lot about perspective, and it also is very dependent on the type of hard time that you're having, you know. I think it's a tricky one because everyone's situation is so nuanced and individual, and obviously, like, I'm not a therapist, I have no qualifications on this, but the things that help me are putting it in perspective, therapy, speaking to the people around me, and just kind of like letting them know that I'm struggling a bit, because I think as soon as you realise you're not on your own, that's kind of half the battle. It's so much easier to go through something with someone, and so reaching out to the people around me has been something that's really helped. And then also, final one, like, finding your exercise thing that, like, makes you feel good. I used to hate, like, I really put off exercising for so long because I just don't know, I just thought it wasn't that helpful. And now it's become such, like, a critical part of my routine and making me feel good. It makes me feel good. And that is something that I really notice when I stop. And it doesn't, like, you know, whatever you want I don't know what you want it to look like. That's not really the thing, but making sure you prioritize moving your body because it is important. I think that's something that's really helped me. And then final question. Do you think doing things alone is something we should be worried about? No. I think if you can learn to do stuff on your own, if you can learn to be comfortable in your own company, then you will be so much happier for the rest of your life. Because the thing is, you will spend so much of your life on your own. Okay, you will spend a lot of your life on your own. You will actually spend every little moment with yourself. And so as soon as you learn to enjoy that relationship, to see it for what it is, for allowing it to be a period of your time that you enjoy, because I used to hate spending time on my own. I used to think it was really boring, embarrassing. And now it's like, now I had to have this shift in my brain that, like, made it a safe space, that when I'm alone I can do anything I want and it's comfortable and I don't need to feel anxious and nervous and it's actually okay. I think that was a really important shift for me to make. And I think we shouldn't be worried about doing things on our own because so many of us are. And I think it makes us think, oh, I'm not popular enough, I should be having more friends, I should be doing more of this and that and this and that. But, like, the thing is, if you constantly wait for other people to do stuff with, you're going to miss out on so many things that you really want to do, so many opportunities you want to experience, and just so many parts of your life that are just put on hold whilst you wait for the right people, because you never know when the right people are going to turn up. And I think if we get more comfortable doing things on our own, if we accept that, okay, I'd rather do this with someone, but I'm not going to wait for someone to do this with. I'm still going to do it. We make sure we continue living our lives as we want to live them. And I think that's how we stop living with so much regret. Because we stop basing our lives on the people that we surround ourselves. We start thinking, you know what? I think I can do this on my own. It's not something to be worried about. And doing something on your own doesn't mean you're never going to do something with other people. It just means you stop using them as a crutch for your life. And I think that's important. I think you have to be comfortable in your own space with yourself. You have to be comfortable doing what you're doing. But anyway, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. Thank you for sending the podcast questions in. And if you know someone who would enjoy this episode, send it their way. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave me a review. If you don't already, make sure you're following me at Mel from Bella in Instagram, TikTok, and on YouTube if you want to watch the podcast there. And I'll also leave this link in the show notes. I love you. I hope you have a great week, and I can't wait to speak to you soon. Mwah.